All right, in this video, I wanted to cover a common question I get about LLCs with non-U.S. owners, and it's, do I need to fill out a W-9 or W-8? So in this hypothetical, we're looking at foreign-owned multi-member LLCs. So this is an LLC, let's say it's set up in Delaware, Wyoming, and it has more than one owner. And all of the owners are non-U.S. persons. They all live and work outside of the U.S. There's no U.S. office, no U.S. nexus, nothing like that. So the question is, well, is this a foreign LLC partnership or a U.S. LLC partnership? And if so, which one of these withholding certificates do I need to complete? So I've got all the rules outlined here, an example. Hopefully this will clear it up for everybody. If you form a U.S. LLC with more than one owner, the entity is a partnership for federal tax purposes. So that applies regardless of who the owners are, right? If you've got a multi-member LLC set up in the U.S., it's going to be treated as a partnership, period. Now, if it's a partnership, the LLC could file an election to be treated as a C Corp. That's an option. If the LLC has multiple owners and they're all U.S. persons, maybe you might be able to make an S Corp election. Bunch of options there. But under the default rules, multi-member LLC, partnership, right? So that's simple. Now, a partnership is required to file a Form 1065 for each year it's in existence, right? So the Form 1065 is filed by all domestic partnerships, and then foreign partnerships, if they so choose, or they're required to under one of the unique, foreign partnership provisions that have either U.S. partners or they're engaged in U.S. trade or business. Then you might see a foreign partnership filing this. So back to the question, which withholding certificate does that multi-member LLC need? Do they need a W-9 for U.S. persons or perhaps a Form W-8 IMY for foreign partnerships? Well, here are the rules. So if we're looking at Section 7701, A30B states that a U.S. person includes a domestic partnership. So what's a domestic partnership? Well, if we jump up to 7701A4, domestic partnership means it's a partnership created or organized in the United States or under the law of the United States or any state, okay? So what we mean here is that if we have an entity organized as a partnership in the United States, it's going to be a domestic partnership. There's no carve out or caveat for, well, if it has all non-U.S. owners or if it has no U.S. operations, now it's a foreign partnership. No, that's not the standard. If it's legally organized in the United States, it's a domestic partnership. So it's a U.S. person for federal tax purposes. Right, the residency of the owners is irrelevant, okay? So in this example, John, Frank, and Sue created a Delaware entity, and it's going to be a partnership for federal tax purposes because each of them owns 1/3, so they've got a partnership here, multi-member LLC. All three owners are citizens and residents of the UK. So under federal tax rules, this LLC is a domestic partnership because it's organized in the state of Delaware. Domestic partnership means it's a U.S. person, it files a W-9, right? Or it completes the W-9 and it provides that to withholding agents that request it, right? So in this case, the LLC completes a W-9, it provides its EIN, and it checks the LLC box in Part 3, and then when it has to enter its tax classification, it would use the letter P to denote that it's a partnership, right? Now, just to be clear, this is a discussion about U.S. or foreign persons for purposes of completing the withholding certificate. Excuse me. It does not mean necessarily that this entity is subject to U.S. tax, okay? Right? Because partnerships are fiscally transparent. So this is a U.S. person. This is a domestic partnership, a U.S. person for purposes of federal tax filings, right? The Form 1065s needs to do a Form W-9. But it does not necessarily mean the entity is subject to tax, right? That's a completely separate analysis. So just because you're filling out a W-9 for an LLC partnership with all non-U.S. owners doesn't mean they're subject to U.S. tax on their allocation of income. Completely separate analysis. Now the W-8 IMY here, just to be complete, this would not be appropriate because the LLC is not a foreign partnership. So a foreign partnership is any partnership that's not domestic under the federal tax rules, and you'll see that standard in Code Section 7701A as well, right? They've got that rule in there. So if this was a Cayman Islands limited partnership or a Bermuda limited partnership or any other partnership or entity formed outside the U.S., then it would be a foreign partnership. And again, that would still apply even if maybe you had U.S. persons that were partners in that entity. So like a lot of hedge funds are structured overseas, and you might have U.S. partners in a Cayman LP. It's still a foreign partnership, all right, because it's organized outside the United States. So that covers it. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next video. Thank you.